So it's very late of a night, so it's quiet, even though, I still can hear the presence and even the random neighbourhood watch, as they call it, which is actually a official community service that operates in this particular suburb of Leichhardt. So it's not a hidden agenda or a hidden secret organisation or anything. No, most is not hidden. It's just that it's more advanced and more people are involved in these community policing of citizens than what would generally be regarded as either acceptable or possible or just what is. Because the reality is that, you have these kind of what they call community watching or policing or community surveillance of citizens that they somehow deem as, I don't know really what it is, but I'm guessing that it's like they see you as antisocial, but not antisocial in a negative manner, but antisocial in a positive manner. In other words, they think that you are drawing attention perhaps to things that they don't want attention drawn to, even though, if you're like myself, everything you do often is under the cover of darkness or where there shouldn't be anyone seeing it. But that's because, you don't understand that there is total surveillance and that most of this is done through your body and through technology that is seeing your whereabouts and what you're doing through your eyes and through your brain. This is advanced technology that many are aware of, but don't think that these technologies like the so-called dust microchip is actually being implanted in people. Whereas in reality, these things can be implanted extremely easily, I'm told, and also I experience the effects of this. And also I know when these procedures were done. But I didn't realise fully until the program was actually kind of exposed to me by it becoming what they call really it's like where the surveillance is no longer hidden to you. In other words, where they want you to feel followed, watched, stalked and patrolled. They want you to know that they're watching and surveilling you, and they want you to know that they don't like you on the street. And they do this through a systematic, continual, negative mind control patrolling program. And it's exactly the same as having every vehicle being an authority vehicle, or every vehicle being an army truck or an army bus or an army motorbike. And they show this not just in their overpresence and in their vast numbers, and in fact in their unrealistic vast numbers in a given area. In other words, where the traffic should be relatively quiet and very few vehicles, they will have traffic jams in front of you. They will have vehicles slowing up in front of you. They will have vehicles literally trailing you along a very short distance even. They will have cars pulling in and out in front of you in non-parking spots on very busy roads where no car is even allowed to pull in or out. But these vehicles are part of a total country program, so they can make their own rules, because if they are the authorities or acting on behalf of the authorities and are in conjunction with all authorities, basically they don't have to answer to what we'd call the usual traffic regulations or the laws of the particular city. And this is like able to be implemented and literally got away with to where you can't prove a single thing because of the vast numbers, because of the reality that most people are part of this computer program against particular individual humans that they know would not partake in this program, not even necessarily in my case because I disagree with them in any way, but just simply that I wouldn't waste my time and energy on that type of activity. It would drive me bonkers to even participate in it. You know, even for extra money, I just could not. And also because that's another thing, because I'm a very irregular person and basically not able to keep to a schedule, not able to be anywhere on time, they know that I basically wouldn't physically or mentally be able to participate. Mind you, I certainly wouldn't agree with patrolling and stalking innocent individuals. So, you know, they would have to tell me a story where I would become emotional and passionate that someone was doing something that that I not only didn't agree with, but that I felt very strongly and passionate about. In other words, a good example of that would be if you liked birds and they told me that certain humans were killing off birds in the area, or that only one was doing that. So therefore you would think, well, that should be easy to stop one person from doing it if you stalk and patrol and, you know, hassle them to where they find that life isn't worth living. But this is all the falsity of it, because in reality, the people that they are hassling and directing their anger at in a stalking, patrol, aggressive manner, they're actually not doing anything that anyone could get legitimately angry about. And that's how you know that you're dealing with a totally different type of human. In other words, they see you as a different type of human. They see you as not fitting into their technological world, but also they see your particular character, shall we say, as very different to theirs. And it actually is, because you're talking about a multiplication of psychopaths combining at a community patrol level in all areas of life, in every single occupation, in every single facility, in every single industry, in every single organisation, in every single club, in every single necessary service that is provided in the city of Sydney. And this is also another thing too, is that it would even be possible to get perhaps even some what I call real humans to even participate if they are told a particular story and if they think their livelihood and their existence depends on cooperating, which it would. So, but I personally see it as the majority in a given area having dominion over a very small minority that convince even a limited number of human beings to take part in these programs. But usually it is about suppressing and subduing the daily activities of a few individual humans that they see as a different type of human to them. And quite frankly, as you can imagine, psychopathic, malignantly narcissistic, paranoid, controlling human beings are very different to, what you'd call a human being. In fact, in many respects, they are not human. Not the way that you think human beings normally operate, not the wants and needs that most human beings would want or need. They operate in reverse psychology, and that's why, we say that we really live in a reverse world, or at least those that are in the know about this matrix Earth say that it's a reverse world, because basically anything that's really human is reversed around. Everything is the opposite to what you actually think. So when you target a particular individual and patrol them under the false misapprehension or false stories that you may be told, you are operating for the reverse world. So you're actually targeting your own kind, suppressing your own kind, and collaborating with inhuman androids that actually oppose you. And that's the name of this end time, end Earth Matrix game. You're talking about different belief systems, different gods, different species cohabiting together, coexisting together, but not in harmony. This whole thing where you hear about world peace is part of this reverse world, reverse psychology mind game against humanity. Those that promote world peace, those that try to make peace, are actually not interested in peace at all, because it goes against their nature of controlling and suppressing and limiting real humans. Because they're psychopathic in nature, they are androgyne beings. In other words, they're artificially intelligent human beings. And that's why we have an internet spider's web. This is part of their mind control or their control of humanity. When you say mind control, it sounds kind of impressive and fearful. And it is much more impressive and fearful than what I could express. But at the same time, it's just using technology to control the whereabouts, the activities, and therefore the mind of human beings. It's just about controlling a human being's life in any and whatever way they can. If they think you are not susceptible to their information and their their stage set up world scenarios, and indeed even their local ones, then they will patrol you to drive you into a different state of mind. Because most people will be playing for the matrix or playing along with the so-called mind control just by the reality that if you believe certain events, if you believe certain things or information that's told to you and you act on them or you go along with it, then they don't have to patrol you, they don't have to surveil you, they don't have to hassle you and direct negative energy at you. But the reality is everyone is watched and patrolled anyway. Because even if you are a patroller, you are being watched and surveilled too, because you're part of the patrol system. You're, surveilling someone else. You're patrolling someone else. You're stalking someone else. Stalking is actually the correct word in a bad way, because, the odd police patrol car is seen as a benefit, whereas stalking implies that you're intruding on someone's space and you're affecting someone's mind. You're affecting someone's state of being. You're trying to take that person's peace of mind and their privacy and life from them. And that's exactly what these so-called community policing patrollers are actually doing. Because in my own circumstance, or just as an example, if you only leave the house to pick up groceries, or if you, for instance, just went down to the corner of this small dead-end street where I am right now and sat in the park for 10 minutes and then come home, if your daily activities are very mundane and very basic at the most, why are these androgyne beings, or these artificial intelligent humans that combine together in these community patrolling, policing set up programs using technology and mobile phones and computer systems to track and pinpoint the whereabouts of these people? Not only do they do this, but they're also watching in a real manner. So they're not just tracking you through a mobile or a computer system, which they could easily do, but you wouldn't be aware of it and therefore you wouldn't feel intimidated or suppressed. But they actually make their presence felt in a very real, very aggressive, very anti-human manner. Where you have massive amounts of huge vehicles on the road, buses and huge trucks and, extremely loud, aggressive motorcycle gangs all going past you on the road in a systematic, continual stream where you're never left alone for 1 minute. This is just an example of it. And this is also a fact, but it's also, I could prove it, that it is not realistic to have massive numbers of vehicles just wherever I go. Not just because they just happen to always be following and always in my line of sight and always making excessive sound in my ears. That is just the traffic patrol system. But not just that. The reality is that Sydney, in the last number of years, has the powers that be that control the city of Sydney have spent billions and billions of dollars building a complete underground City of Sydney traffic tunnel system underground, so that all the traffic should be going underground, so that you don't have traffic on the roads. But wherever I am, there's more traffic now than before this underground traffic tunnel system was built. So that's just an example of showing that there's no reason or legitimate reason for all the traffic to be on the roads in this suburb of Leichhardt. And it doesn't matter where I go in Leichhardt, it's the same thing. If you go down a dark alley, okay, so they can't send huge amounts, but there will always be presence even down a dark alley. Even if they have to send the jet planes over your head, which they do. But usually they will have someone pop out of a dark alley, which would be frightening in the past. But now I'm frightened, but not frightened that they will, come right up to you, because they only want you to know that they're watching you and that you're never allowed to have any privacy or any life of your own. They're trying to stop you from basically going anywhere or doing anything because you know that you are uncomfortable and agitated all the time. And it's pretty pathetical when you are just walking, say, on a street just not far from your house, and you're actually thinking, can I hide somewhere? Can I find even a nook or a cranny where I can't see or hear their presence? And you actually can't. It's as though this whole suburb is actually set up to where you could not find one spot where you can't see or hear them, where these patrollers are not making their presence felt. I could prove this, and it is very mentally disturbing. And of course the whole purpose is that they want you to give up on life, because you actually feel, how can you have any sort of real existence? They're controlling your existence. They're intruders. They're like intruders in your house, except that they're intruders everywhere. The only place they can't intrude in is your house, but even that, they do intrude all through the day, because they can legitimately set up staged work programs around you, which they have done continuously every day of the year, apart from holidays, since 7 years ago, when they openly showed me that they were going to watch and surveil me 24/7 every day of my life until I pass. And they know that by doing this you'll probably pass a lot sooner, which I'm told is their main purpose. Because they're psychopathic, malignant, narcissistic controllers. This is the personality type. This is what we call a personality disordered person. And it's the same iniquity and insanity that was found in the God of Earth, the Lucifer, that also had to control humanity and wanted humanity to worship and be under its control. And that's exactly the world we have. And it's a total human mind control matrix. Human beings have been basically under the demigods' influence, which are the powers that be that control Earth. Like I say, they control in every single area of someone's life. But most of the time, you think that it's not control because you're believing false scenarios, you're believing false information. Even as a human being, you don't understand what makes a human being really. And you also don't accept or understand that you're extremely suppressed and limited in all your abilities as a human being. In fact, unless you are a servant of the earth, Lucifer, God, in other words, unless you're a servant of Lucifer and are serving its earth matrix, which means you're serving a control system that suppresses your fellow human beings, you will be, kept as low as what they possibly can. But even servants of the earth matrix God, even if you're serving that particular being, which is a different being to a human being, it's a technical being, it's a duality being, it's your two-faced, one-eyed, androgyne being that was once much admired and indeed worshipped, I'm told, by its creator and by many, many of the ones that were part of creation. Some people like to use the terminology angels and demons and these sorts of terminology, which is very good to use, I would think. But at the same time, it's also not a good terminology for more realistic people. Because I personally see technology as real, even though it is possession and spiritually demonic. That just simply means that technological mind control by the powers that be, in other words, the programs that they have been implementing against human beings through either open programs or secret human experimentation, as we have been told. It's still, just make of it as I say it, because it's really all about differences, and some people don't like to acknowledge or want to accept differences, but also these days or in these end times, you're meant to integrate everyone and everything together. So you're not meant to differentiate between different humans. But it's not unreasonable to differentiate between different species. And really, you are talking about different species, but the deception is that they all come in a human body. But it doesn't matter that the human bodies might be slightly different. They're still human bodies, so you think that it's okay to not differentiate and therefore unite, and everything should be integrated and everyone and everything is the same. But a snake is not the same as a giraffe. A fish is not the same as a bird. So the deception is that you have different species in the same physical or similar physical appearance. So you think that everything is human when it's not. That's the deception, or that's the misinformation, shall we say. But it is deception because it is consciously and deliberately set up that way. So it's not like it's just that history or information has been buried or lost over time. It's a right in the moment now where everything is all about Lucifer being a master of all lies or a master of deception. This is its matrix, and the matrix is a human technological mind control Earth. So everything that I think about Earth and about people and about situations and events and things is reversed around. It's probably not so. It's a reverse world, and the human beings, many human beings are reversed around. So you think they're human when they're really not the same as, say, a human. And by that I simply mean that they have a psychopathic nature. They don't experience humanity or relate to any form of life. And in some respects, they are survival machine beings. And in their artificially intelligent brain, they actually, or their computer system, mind, because don't forget, artificial intelligence is really a computer brain, or just advanced artificial intelligence that is really advanced computer technology. And if you put it in a cloned human body, then you have an artificial intelligent androgyne human being. And it would be okay for humans to coexist even with artificial intelligent beings and androids and whatever name you want to put on something that isn't naturally human. It would be okay if these beings didn't need the human energy and the human electricity to survive, and if they didn't need to pretend to be something they're not in order to survive. But they do. That's the only problem. If they were compatible and willing to serve and help human beings, or at least do them no negative harm, then you could theoretically coexist with them. You know, you would have a choice whether you wanted to interact with them or not, but you would leave them alone. You would not have any reason to want to, do anything negative to them. You wouldn't even be speaking about them. You wouldn't be speaking like I'm saying we have to be very careful with technology and artificial intelligence, because I see that they're using all this technology against me. But if they weren't, even though probably human beings should be more natural, it still wouldn't be a negative thing. But these beings don't leave human beings alone. They can't, because if, like what I'm told, and I certainly see this in my reality, that they can't leave you alone, they have to patrol you, they have to surveil you, they have to watch you, they have to study you, because they're working and operating as followers and disciples for Lucifer, the technological original being of light, the original android being of light, where we saw how the artificial intelligence, for some reason, can't help but turn dark, can't help but want to control. Because they're not human, their purpose and their whole function is all about control. And they need to control their energy source so that they don't perish. And unfortunately, if you're a human being, you are their energy source. You're their electricity. And they need lots of it, from what I can see. But they demand that you give it to them, because they also have a power mentality where they want to be God, just as Lucifer wanted to be God and has assumed that position in earth by controlling the human mind and by controlling my reality. If I decide that I don't want to take too much notice of the information that I'm given, if I decide that I'm impervious to influences, or at least that I'm impervious to negative influences, which of course is not true, but you still might, even though you might get temporarily distressed or made depressed by particular information that they bombard you with, you might still be trying to be positive or happy. And this is a danger to control, or a danger to an Earth matrix. The Earth is not a random natural planet, it is an Earth matrix. What level you want to take this to will depend on your awareness and your own experience. And if you're unlucky like me, you will find out the real truth of how advanced the control is, and how advanced the technology is, and how much control they really have over your mind and your emotional well-being when it's too late. Because the whole purpose is really to keep you in the dark, to where you think there's only a certain amount of control taking place in the world or in your environment. That way you don't feel too limited. And also, if you don't realise that you actually are meant to be at a higher level, in other words, like the example that I've often used, if you are a bird in a cage, but you've never been out of the cage, you don't know that you're meant and able to fly around everywhere. You don't know that you don't need the cage and that you don't need the person to put the bird seed in the cage, that you can fly around in a great big world and can get your own food. But if you're a bird in a cage and you've never flown and you're not allowed to fly, you will think that that limited existence is all there is. You won't know any different, and that's what it is to be a human being. You're never allowed to fly. You're a bird that's never allowed to fly. Or another example, as they often tell me, you're a fish in a fish tank, but you're not swimming in the vast ocean. And you rely on a human being dropping you fish food. So you're not independent, you're not free, and you're not living at your full life. You're not living as you're meant to be as a human being. You're extremely suppressed and limited, mentally, physically, and every possible way. And that's the story of you if you're a human being. If you're an androgyne being, you are also probably limited, but you're actually controlled, but you would probably not see it as control because you can't really or don't want to experience the human existence because you're not human, like a psychopath doesn't experience what I've been told by the psychopathic, malignant, narcissistic psychologists on the psychopathic, malignantly narcissistic android internet control system. That, psychopathic, narcissistic beings do not experience 7 human feelings or reactions or whatever you want to call them. So they never ever experience any sort of guilt or remorse or any sort of discomfort when they turn on human beings and do very anti-life negative things towards them. They can destroy life and have no feeling about it. But they also, for this reason, they are very negative beings. They do not, I'm told, another trait, that they do not experience any human happiness in any way. So they don't experience positive human traits. And for that reason, they don't relate or connect with human real life or any real life. They understand human life. They understand the human reactions. They know what it is to be human because they have intelligence. But they don't experience humanity. But they pretend to. That's why they have these programs and experiment on human beings to try to understand and study them so that they can emulate and copy them in order to basically keep control of the earth. Because if all the power players of earth are really controlling androgyne beings, which they are, then they can keep mind control over the human beings. Even if it's just keeping you in a cycle of what you think is contentment in your birdcage. That's right. Not knowing that you're meant to fly, and not knowing that you don't need the cage or the human to, to keep you alive. But anyway, so, we have the, so we have the, the demigods, the false representations of mankind, or man, woman, birth, death, infinity, all not true, not real. And false representations of what are idealized versions of mankind. False representations, however, ideal, or representations of what human beings see as beauty, and whether that be the most intellectual, the most examples of the best humans. In reality, they're not. They're there is technology that is used to control the human being. The technology means that everything that I think, see, and experience is also being experienced by the transhuman internet technology. But also there is more advanced artificial intelligence and mind-body and mind-computer connection that is taking place, that is much more advanced than what you actually think you're using, or what the actual technology is. But of course, this also depends on if you're a human or an android. In other words, whether you are a real human or whether you are part of the artificially intelligent, what they call hive mind mentality, because it's one computer mind. But the only reason that they are interacting with my mind is so that they can survive and keep going. But by doing that, they keep going, but they're also, unfortunately for me, they take my energy, they confuse and limit my mentality, whilst also imitating everything that should be a benefit to me, and then it becomes a benefit for them. Whilst I'm suppressed and limited, they imitate my positive traits, or they even take my positive ideas as their own, because these are survival machine beings that actually don't tend to think positive, as we said, the same way as a human being, because they're essentially the same as, a psychopathic mind. So psychopaths don't think, psychopaths don't think positive or don't think happy, because they can't experience those traits. They can't experience those emotions. This is what science and science psychology tells you. And if you've watched a million of these, videos and informational, computer programs, you will know this. But you don't have to do this to know that psychopaths are cold, unemotional machine beings at a psychological level. So that's what we call, or what psychology calls, psychopathy. And in reality, it's the same and is artificial intelligence in human form. Now, in the earth, you have artificially intelligent android beings, and you have artificial intelligent android androgyne beings, and you have psychopathic androgyne beings, and you have human beings, and you have very mind-controlled human beings. So you have all these different variations due to the reality that there's a mind control process that the powers that be and Lucifer's legions, which are the powers that be, are implementing onto the remaining human race. And using their android species to put this into play. Because if you had a total human Earth, most of this would not be possible, I don't think. Because individual single human beings wouldn't participate in what they call a total transhuman computer connection to one another in patrol systems and in human mind control systems. They wouldn't do that because they don't think like that, they don't act like that, they have no need to. Most human beings aren't going to stalk and patrol and watch 24/7 a human being that they don't know and don't or shouldn't even have any interest in. That takes a psychopathic mind, because they need the energy, and they also have a resentment of humanity. That's why you have to acknowledge that it's different species, because most human beings don't resent other humans. Of course, we do have, I suppose I should say that we do have, like even in my own experience in my own lifetime, yes, you can think at times, due to mind control and mind influence and a belief in the human insignificance and the belief in, say, the demigods or the reality that you're presented with, if any human being feels too insignificant or too small, which we are all deliberately conscious to feel, and you are the bird in the cage, not knowing that you're really a bird that can freely fly around everywhere, and you believe that others are better than you, that others are superior, that others are more of everything than you. This is all mind control to make the human being not only be suppressed and limited, but feel very insignificant. And this, of course, also is a natural state of being for the androids too, because if they are more aware, they would know, or they would always be watching and comparing themselves to others. This is also part of mind control and mind suppression, and that's human suppression, because, like I say, the whole purpose of this earth reality is to make human beings feel insignificant, and for the powers that be and the demigods of earth to be seen as, the elite demigods that they actually are. But it's still all about making you think that way or feel that way. It's really about keeping your frequency and vibration low, making you feel low, making you feel less. And that, of course, is another thing too, is that human beings are convinced that it is, a good thing to become part of transhumanism, because that way they can make their intelligence more, they can receive more information, they can better themselves. This is all deception too, I would think. And even if it isn't, I still personally, and this is probably why I am being targeted into oblivion or suppressed by the matrix around me, because even if an artificially intelligent android being is superior to me, is more intelligent, is more beautiful, is more this, has more gifts, more talents, more expertise in any way, has more gifts, has more abilities, can do more things than me, this is still something that I would not buy now. So in other words, I wouldn't buy that what I would say, that lure to want to combine with artificial intelligence. So, for instance, to be more stronger or to be able to do things that you can't do as a human or that you find difficult. I mean, yes, you can see that technology offers human beings what they think are more abilities. And from a practical standpoint, you will be offered more abilities, But that is also because you are under the misapprehension that you don't have any abilities, because your abilities are suppressed. In the earth, you're very limited. So therefore you are like a cripple that needs a walking stick. I guess if it really comes down to it, you just have to say, this is what I would say now, that regardless of how small you feel, regardless of how much you're suppressed, regardless of how little you feel about even being a human, because everything is about conditioning you to go away from being human, so that you don't feel human and that you don't feel that there's anything kind of unique about it. Whereas in reality, that's the misconception. And even if everything I say is false and there is no misconception and that I'm only deluding myself, and in my reality, I think that I am deluding myself because I have no benefit of being human. I am limited, I'm suppressed, and I'm, not able to do most things as a human being. So it really comes down to more of a belief or a belief in humanity or a belief in the human being, to say that it's still better to be human even if you're limited, suppressed, even if the artificial intelligence appears to have more, even if the powers that be appear to have more, even if the demigods appear to be more talented and more versatile and more, have more abilities in every single way. It's an exchange that appears to be something that you should indulge in. But being on the other side of the coin, seeing the experimentation, the human experimentation that I'm experiencing, through their implementation of their literal implants, human mind implants, human mind control, and realizing that this is being done to limit and control me even more. That's the only reason that I speak in opposition to it. Because why would they be doing these things against your will and trying to make you unhappy, trying to depress you, and trying to limit your whereabouts, limit your human life, so that everything that you should and could do, even though you're not a demigod, they're still limiting that. They're not allowing you to even live at a limited human level in the few remaining years that you might have left, in Earth. So that's how I know that it can't be a good thing. Because it's all being done against your will, it's all being done, human experimentation, not for your benefit, but for theirs. It has to be, because otherwise, why is it all hidden? Why is it all done when no one's openly, acknowledging it or agreeing to it? Why is everything that I'm experiencing all hidden? Why? Because it's not something that is a benefit to me. If it was, they would openly offer it, and if it was a benefit, you'd accept it. And that's the thing. So, so that's the thing. And I can hear the neighbourhood watch going on, even though it is way, way, way after the midnight now, and it should be quiet because it's the city of Sydney's most religious time. There's no celebrating. Even though in this warped world that we live in, it seems to be right to celebrate the the life that was taken from one of the most human humans that have ever lived. And it's a celebration in most people's minds that this particular human from human creation, some say the Son of God, that this being was taken from earth for the simple reason that it was human. And the androgyne powers that be didn't want the presence of an awake, highest human being walking amongst man on earth even back then. It had to be stopped. It had to be suppressed. Some would say, well, it was stopped, but it wasn't totally suppressed. But, this is still showing you, even though we don't see it, that the others were always around suppressing and controlling humanity and controlling the earth and controlling, the controlling the whole reality. And this might only be in one small town or one small area of the earth, because in different periods of time, obviously, you didn't have, like in the city of Sydney, where I am now, you didn't have millions and millions of people back then. But you still had powerful demigods that were serving Lucifer's mindset and that are a different species. And so they had to suppress the most high human species, or the sons of God. It's just that some sons of God are more at the more highest human level. Some, or one, was at the highest level. So they really were a sun or a light of God. But that light was extinguished before it got too bright to illuminate the truth and illuminate the reality to its kind. And most of the others, the other kind, take that light as their own and pretend to be sons of God, whereas they're really sons of Lucifer. And Lucifer may have once been regarded as, a divine being of light, but that, we're told, was shown to be wrong. And that's why I think natural human creation came into being. But unfortunately, natural human creation became corrupted by Lucifer and its disciples and its demigods of earth. That just simply means that you believe that they are real and that they're human and that they should be demigods. And that's just how the earth matrix kind of operates. It's the workings of it. And it's basically Lucifer is a master of deception, human deception. Lucifer is about human mind control. Lucifer is about human control. And if they can't control you, then they extinguish your light, just as they extinguished the Son of God's light in the past. And I only mention this because this is the truth. Many people know this. All denominations speak of these things. But the main deception is not realizing that you have an earth that is largely controlled by what we would call psychopathy, or the psychopathy of androgyne beings. And that just simply means that, put simply, as many so-called theorists, or some say conspiracy theorists, because that means that a large group of people come together to conspire against someone or something else. And that's exactly what it is. It's a human mind control conspiracy, or just human deception. And I just lost the plot of what I was talking about there, because when you try to speak into a video and you're trying to say things, but at the same time you're also trying to put it in a more worldly level, even though you're also talking totally personal. Because when it really comes down to it, it's only your own personal existence that you really should focus on. And that's why most people don't see the worldwide matrix deception. And you don't really have to, but you should see your own personal deception. But that's what you usually don't see. And of course, you don't see the worldwide deception either. Because you can't control the whole world, but you can control or should be able to control your own existence. But of course you can't control that either, because the World Wide Web and the worldwide deception, the powers that be, the demigods that control Earth, also control your personal existence, because they're actually only about controlling human beings, and specific human beings. They will target individual human beings even more extensively at this end time transhuman end game, because they need to keep this technology in place. They want the human being's mind connected to the computer system. And they need to have this, because many human beings, I'm told, are actually waking up. I don't see this in my own personal life, no, but I am informed of this, and I hope that it's true. So if many individual human beings, particularly if they wake up in more numbers to the technological control reality, or even just to the reality that they don't always are able to live their own lives, that they are actually part of an earth control system, or even just that the powers that be sometimes will want to control your mind and your body in any way, even though they will probably convince you that it's beneficial to you, that it's for your own health and safety, that type of thing. But those that think different to that, or have evidence that some of the implementation of certain ideas and certain procedures are not actually for the betterment of your health and safety. The minute you look into that or analyse it and say this really isn't a benefit, this is working against you, then that's what they call the awakening, or the awakening that you're under mind control. And mind control just simply means that you're meant to believe something that isn't really true, or that isn't what you think it is. If someone tells me to take a pill that will benefit me, but I find out and discover that that pill is actually detrimental to me over time, then that's what you call the awakening. You've woke up that something that you're told is okay is not. And that's part of waking up to the reality that it's not just one thing, it's a lot of things. And that even simple, insignificant, real human beings are very important to the matrix, to the powers that be. And that it's important for them to keep you suppressed and limited, so that they have control, so that they can take your energy, take your ideas, take your information of what it is to be a real human being, to use for their benefit, to keep control of this power play matrix. To them it's just a power play video game against a human being. And the more people that they can get to participate in that video game power play against human beings, whether they be your own kind or not. If you're not a human being, you would participate willingly and easily. And also you will have the same mindset, because Lucifer's mindset is in the mind of the android beings. Lucifer's program of needing to control a human being is the mindset of the androgyne beings. Lucifer's paranoid disposition of control and envy against human beings is in the mind of its android disciples. They all have the same mind. So many have said it's one mind in many, many, many bodies. And it is. They might experience things differently, and they might be programmed with different memories and different implants, particularly if a cloned human body or a dead human body is brought back to life. Then you're going to have the memories, the false memories of that body, and you think they're your own, just as human beings are programmed and mind controlled that same way. So it's a very mixed up world, a very mixed up reality. And it's designed to be mixed up and confused for human beings. It's designed to take you away from knowing what you really are, and to take you away from your humanity and connect you to the transhuman, artificially intelligent computer mind, which is a computer system, which means you will have many, many, many minds all combining together, all interacting with one another. But the individual, isolated human being will not be interacting with that artificial intelligence, hive mind, computer system, internet, spider's web, for any benefit to itself. The only ones that will benefit from the transhuman, human mind control, internet, computer, spider's web program is the others. They're the only ones that benefit from it, because they keep control, they get the information from the human mind, they get to understand what it is to be human, so that they can utilize that to become a better imitation of a human being, in order to control the humans that are left in the earth. I don't think I explained that very well, so I think I better stop the video. And and I think that the reality that everything is frequency, vibration, and energy is hitting me hard right at this particular moment. Even I can barely move my legs. I can, but they don't feel as though they're there almost. And that is because I am surrounded by beings that use this information, this truth of energy, frequency, and vibration against the human being, so they can manipulate and their energy vampires, not just by manipulating my emotions and my reactions so that they extract my energy, leaving me depleted. But then again, then you rest and you try to get the energy back, and then they take it from you again. That it's a continual draining of the human energy from a human being. And these androids, actually then survive. And as they say, they survive, but they become stronger while I become weaker. And then when I'm gone, they do the same process to another human being. They particularly, I think, like to isolate human beings and take their energy from them one by one. In other words, they take them down and take you away from being a human, whilst they are extracting your energy and your information from you, so that they can literally become what you should really be. And also they're living your life too, because they will emulate and copy what you want to do, and they will try to experience what you would want to experience. This is also because I think of their paranoid, envious kind of contempt for humanity too. Because if psychopaths can't experience the same happiness as a human being can experience if they're allowed to live their own existence, then you'd say, what is the point in them copying and doing the same things that might bring you happiness or raise your frequency and vibration? Well, I guess they just do that to try and to understand, and so that they basically keep going. They're survival machine beings. And because of their extreme contempt and envy for humanity, this is just a thing that they do to also make you unhappy and bring your frequency and vibration down. Because if they take things from you and then take those things for themselves, or if they know that they stop you from doing something that you normally should be able to do, and then they do it in front of you, then it's reversed round. Then you become envious of them and resentful of them, because you know that that was really your idea, your desire, what you needed to make yourself happy. Or, like I say, it's all about frequency, vibration and energy. And don't forget that these beings, whether they understand it or not, they're operating and using that energy for their advancement and your disadvancement. Human beings are, if you're a real individual human being, you'll probably be living at your lowest human level, whereas they will be, it's a reverse world. They'll be doing the opposite. They will be representing a human being. They will be experiencing a human being's humanity so that they can survive, and that's at the expense of mankind, I think. And it's very late, so I better not actually play any music, false idol songs, because it's just that I think that it is boring otherwise, because otherwise it's just me talking, and I'm talking to myself, but even I think, well, it's perhaps it's a tragedy that I have to use the demigods, which are false idols really. Demigods are definitely disciples for the earth god, and the earth god is not the god of man. Well, the earth god is God of man, but it's not the true God of man. It's not the creator of man. Creator of man is natural creation, and the earth god is creator of artificial intelligence or technology. Anything that is technical is created by the earth god. And nothing in a matrix is not created or not set up and not part of the earth god's earth matrix. And the human mind is also connected to the earth matrix. That's why we have the terminology mind control. Because if I'm connected to the Lucifer's computer system, which I am, then I'm under total transhuman mind control. So I don't have an independent, private mind of my own. My mind is shared with the android beings, and they use that information and that knowledge to further their dominion of man and keep control of their matrix. Okay?